Welcome everyone to today's webinar. This is Bree Reynolds with FlexJobs, and I'm very excited to be hosting today's event. We are going to be talking about flexible and remote jobs with Dell, Sutherland, UnitedHealth Group, and Kaplan. And this webinar, I just have a couple of housekeeping things to go over with you all so you know what to expect for the next hour or so. First of all, this is a 60-minute event, so we'll be ending at the top of the hour. That's 2 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be about 40 minutes or so of us talking to you. The company representatives that we have will be talking to you about their companies and what they offer for flexible and remote jobs and what it's like to work at those companies. I'm going to be talking to you briefly about the flexible job market, but then after that 40 minutes or so of discussion, we are going to open it up to audience Q&A. So if you have questions, please feel free to use your GoToWebinar control panel to ask questions, and you can put those questions in throughout the event. You don't have to save them for that last 15 or 20 minutes. So ask questions during the webinar. We may cover your question before we even get a chance to ask it in the presentation, but if not, we will try to answer as many questions as we possibly can towards the end. Just a note about the questions, we're going to be asking the questions that really will have the widest. We just want to help as many people as possible and get information out there that can help as many people as possible. So if you have a very specific question about your particular career field or expertise, or a very specific question for one company, we might not be able to get to that one. But if there's a way to broaden your question so that it applies to a bunch more people, then we'll probably be able to answer it. So again, thank you all for being here today. Also, tomorrow you will receive an email about 24 hours from now with a link to view the recording of this webinar. So it is being recorded and you'll be able to see that afterwards. And a survey. We would love for you to take the survey, as well as a handout that you can download that has information for each one of these companies and their representatives. So hopefully that will be helpful for everybody. So let's go ahead and talk about, oops, sorry, there's that housekeeping slide again, some topics. First, just a quick introduction of our company, FlexJobs, for anybody who's not familiar, and also of our guest panel, so you'll know who's going to be speaking in a little bit. And then we're going to get into flexible job market trends and flexible job search tips. That'll be me talking to you all. And then the representatives from each of our companies, Dell, Kaplan Test Prep, Sutherland, and UnitedHealth Group, are going to be talking about their companies and their flexible and remote positions. And then we'll open it up to audience Q&A. So that will be the flow for the event today. Our great employer panel. So today we have Jennifer Newbill, who's the Director Employment Brand for Dell. We have John Clark, who's the Director of Faculty Recruitment for Kaplan Test Prep. We have Carolyn Lewandowski, who's the Director of Recruiting Operations for Sutherland. And we have Kelly Cole, who's the Talent Acquisition Manager for UnitedHealth Group. So a really good panel today, and I'm looking forward to hearing all about what they have to offer at their companies. All right, let's talk briefly about FlexJobs. We are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year, so that's why there's a little banner on our slides that say 10 years. But we were founded in 2007, and we list pre-screened telecommuting, flexible schedule, full-time and part-time, and freelance jobs. So I know some of you are FlexJobs members and some of you aren't, but you, even if you're not a FlexJobs member, you can actually take a look at the listings that are on the site and see a brief bit of information for each of the listings to see if there's anything out there for you. So that's one of the nice features that we offer for anybody who isn't access to the full job descriptions, to all sorts of things like skills testing and helpful things for your job search. And we have helped over 2.5 million job seekers in their quest for a flexible job since 2007. And we also have over 40,000 researched and vetted companies on our site. And of course, we have 4 awesome companies out of those 47,000 here today. But there is a way that you can research those other companies as well. If you go to flexjobs.com, and up on the top navigation bar, you'll see research companies. And if you click on that, you'll be able to research all sorts of different companies that offer flexible jobs. We're also a membership site. So as I mentioned, I know some folks are members and some aren't. But if there are questions about the membership, I'm happy to answer those. Essentially, what we offer is a faster, easier, and safer way to find professional level and legitimate flexible jobs jobs that offer flexible work options. So if that is something that you are keenly interested in finding, FlexJobs is a fantastic resource, and we feel that the membership will save you a lot of time and energy in your job. Unfortunate parts of work from home jobs. And so in order to do that, we are a membership service for job seekers, and we are free for employers to post jobs. And that means we can be very selective about the employers and the types of jobs that they're posting, and really only post high quality jobs that aren't scams, they're not ads, they're not commission only jobs, they're just really high quality, legitimate jobs, which you'll be hearing about some of those today. So that's just a little bit about FlexJobs. But let me talk to you about the top career fields for flexible jobs. So at FlexJobs, we look at over 55 career fields and post jobs in those different career fields. And so each month we take a look at which career fields have the most job postings, just to see which ones are offering the most numbers of flexible jobs. And these are the top 15. The reason that we list 15 here is because typically if we limit it to 10, those fluctuate every month depending on the season, the type of hiring that's being done, the economy in general. All sorts of different things go into that month-over-month fluctuation. But these 15 tend to fluctuate in and out of that top 10 depending on what's going on in the broader job market. And so you can see there is a wide variety here. Medical and health is almost always number one on the list. And but we also see lots of options like customer, education and training, sales, project management. There really is a wide variety of career fields that hire for flexible jobs. But one thing I will say is this is out of 55 career fields. So if you don't see your particular career fields listed here, don't worry. There are definitely flexible options in other career fields. It just might take a little bit of extra research and going out and finding out what is available in your area. And then I wanted to also touch on remote jobs in particular, because when we talk to job seekers and professionals, they tell us that 100% telecommuting and occasional telecommuting are very important to them. Most people who are interested in flexible jobs are looking for some telecommuting component, or would prefer a telecommuting component if they could find it. And so I wanted to also look at the most common remote job titles that we see from our remote jobs or telecommuting jobs. And those words are used interchangeably, which I'll talk about on the next slide as we get further into this. But these are the job titles that we see over and over again as being available for remote jobs. And so, just to give you an idea of what might be out there when you're looking at this list, career fields either that you are currently in, or that you have been considering transitioning into, or that relate to what you do, just to give you some ideas. Of describing their flexible jobs. And so the terminology that is used is different from company to company. And it can be a little bit confusing sometimes for job seekers, because you're trying to search for these jobs, but you're not really sure what keywords to find all the different listings. And so actually, that's one of the good questions we should ask for our employer panel is, what sort of terminology is most common, and would job seekers use to find flexible jobs at each of those companies? But these are some of the most common ones in general. So the ones you want to avoid in general are work from home and work at home, because those are most often used by scammers. So you will find some legitimate jobs that use that terminology, but the vast majority of work from home or work at home keywords are used by scammers in scam job listings. So by eliminating those and focusing on these better keywords to use, you will, save yourself from quite a bit of hassle in trying to sift through scams and avoid scams in your job search. So the keywords that you should be using, we've got 3 columns here. The column on the left is for those work from home jobs, or to find legitimate jobs. And so we have things like telecommute job, virtual job, remote job, and a whole bunch of other ones we've seen. This isn't even the full list, but these are the ones we see, I guess, most commonly. So those are a lot of different keywords to use there. And then if you're interested in freelance or contract work, that next section, the middle section, is for you. So those are some different ways we've seen that described. And then the final column is for flexible schedules or part-time hours, just different ways to talk about the hours that you're working and having some flexibility in those hours. And also work flexibility or flex work options or something similar to those is a good kind of catch-all phrase. So if you're looking for a company that supports flexible work in general, but might not get very specific in their listings, those are some good keywords to look for as well. All right, so enough for me. Let's dive right into our employer panel. So each of these companies are going to be talking about why their companies value flexible and remote work and what they look for in sort of career fields that they typically hire for, some job titles, all that sort of stuff. So we're really excited to hear from each of these folks. And let's go ahead and get started. The first person that we're going to hear from is Jennifer Newbill, who, as I've said before, is the Director of Employment Branding at Dell. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Hopefully you all can hear me. I am based out of Austin, Texas. So I am close to our corporate headquarters in Round Rock. I'm able to go into the office for business meetings and things when I need to, but for the most part, I am also fully remote, and I manage a global team at Dell that is dispersed across 5 different countries around the world in 5 different time zones, and they are also remote. So not only am I remote, and I've been in a remote working situation for about 7 years, I manage a virtual team that's spread out all over the world as well. So at Dell, just a couple of things I want to highlight about our organization. Just about a year ago, Michael Dell formed Dell Technologies. So we purchased EMC and all their federated brands. So under Dell Technologies, we have 7 different what we call a RSA, VertiStream, and our strategically aligned businesses, VMware, SecureWorks, and Pivotal. So there's a lot of opportunity within the broader Dell Technologies family. I'm going to be talking mostly about Dell Incorporated, which includes Dell, Dell EMC, RSA, and VertiStream, because that's kind of the side of the house that I sit on. So with, a part of that, formation of our family of brands, we have a lot of opportunity sort of across the different organizations. And that's something we really want to focus on over the next several years, is how can people start a career with Dell on the consumer side and maybe work in storage at Dell EMC, and then maybe spend some time in software at VMware. So there's just a lot of really exciting opportunities as we continue to move down this path. We have been ranked on the FlexJobs top 100 companies for remote jobs for 4 years in a row. We're really excited about that. What my team and I focus on is our employment brand, and what is the message out in the marketplace, and what is the perception. The reason why is because our employees have told us, which Bree also talked about before, a lot of their members have told them they value remote work. So that's a big focus for us. We know it's important to people, and we talk about it in the marketplace quite a bit. Social media, some of our digital properties, things like that. We've had a very long journey towards flexible work. It really began in 2009. Actually, the very early conversations were more like 2006. So this has been about a decade-long journey for us. We have something called our Legacy of Good 2020. That wasn't rolled out until 2012. But the Legacy of Good 2020 is 21 different goals that Dell has made to our environment, our people, our partners, our vendors. Some of those goals include our carbon footprint and what we want to do around recycling. We create a lot of hardware within our organization, and we're one of the biggest recycling companies in the world, and we partner with Goodwill to recycle products. We also are harvesting plastic from the ocean to actually make computers. So again, really exciting, innovative, cool stuff that's going on. One of the other goals out of that 2020 Legacy of Good is that we will have 50% of our eligible team members working in a flexible arrangement by 2020. And I want to be really clear what we mean by flexible arrangement. That could be working from home or working from a customer site 1 or more days a week. We don't have a one-size-fits-all methodology or approach at Dell. I work from home all the time, but I go into the office if needed. Some people work from home on Fridays. Some people leave at 3 o'clock and go pick up their kids from school and then maybe log back on when they get home. So there's a variety of flexible opportunities with Dell. So with that, I'll just turn it back to Bree.
Awesome, Jennifer. Thank you very much. Yeah, Dell's got a great history with thinking about these things and also acting on them. So we're very excited to have you guys here. All right, and next up is our speaker from Kaplan Test Prep, John Clark, who's the Director of Faculty Recruitment. John, thank you for being here.
Hey, folks, thank you. Thank you to FlexJobs for hosting this. And I also want to thank Dell because I am broadcasting live from a Dell. So I owe you a bit of gratitude. A little bit about me. My journey to Kaplan started about 3 years ago. And I was actually an attorney, and I was putting hundreds of miles on my car a week, shuttling back and forth between suburban courthouses, and thought that that was an unsustainable lifestyle. So like the majority of Kaplan employees, I now work from home. I'm based in Chicago, but the Kaplan central nervous system is located in New York. So much of our leadership team, tech team, digital media, distant ports. So I manage a team of 10 recruiters, and we stretch from, we have a recruiter all the way in New Smyrna Beach, Florida, which is on the east coast of Florida. So we are stretched out all over the place. We also recruit in 6 different time zones in North America. So we really embody the idea of flexibility, not only in the scope of our team, but we also have very flexible work hours. So I have a colleague who just moved a weekly meeting so that she could do water aerobics, which sounds to me like an exercise in misery, but it's important to her. I have another colleague who takes some time off in the afternoon to wait for her kids at the bus. And I think for everyone on our team, we see real value in being able to do these things that make life more rewarding. I also want to highlight our available teaching positions. So while we do have some full-time positions open in the remote world, we will hire more than 1,000 teachers this year. And our teachers have 2 options when they come on board. They can teach our in-person classes, or they can teach what we call live online, or they can do a hybrid of both. So our live online teachers work from home. They're always at home. And this allows our students to meet them at a time that's convenient for them. Our what we call in-person teachers do teach in physical locations that are convenient for them, but they also will perform outside work, including student communication, prep work, and other training. That all takes place from the comfort of their own living room. We are looking for teachers for a broad range of exams. Basically, any entrance exam you can think of, we're probably hiring from it. So that includes graduate school entrance exams like the MCAT or the LSAT, pre-college exams like the ACT or SAT, nursing exams, exams that medical school students must take to advance to their next stage, the bar exam, anything under the sun is something that we're looking for. On the graduate and pre-college side, we do have a minimum threshold that we ask you to be score qualified on the exam that you want to teach, which means that you need to hit the 90th percentile on that exam. But we do offer opportunities to retest. So we hire a lot of folks who are either re-entering the workplace after a few years off. We hire a lot of folks who are looking to supplement a full-time job with some part-time work. And we also hire a lot of people who are transitioning to a new career. Some more of the perks beyond the flexibility of our jobs, we offer performance-based pay increases. So if you make your students happy, we will reward you in kind. And we also offer a place to network with doctors, attorneys, entrepreneurs, artists. We even have a few teachers who were Jeopardy champions. So I always try to make sure to avoid them in trivia. And we are always looking for folks for whom a flexible job holds some appeal. So again, I want to thank the folks at FlexJobs, and I'm happy to field any and all questions later in the program.
Awesome, John. Thank you so much. All right, and our next person up is going to be Carolyn Lewandowski. Carolyn is the Director of Recruiting Operations at Sutherland. Carolyn, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. So like she said, I'm Carolyn Lewandowski. I'm the Director of Recruiting Operations for Work at Home at Sutherland. I live in Ohio, and our company is based out of New York. And I've actually been working from home for over 10 years now. My team is who you interact with when you apply to one of our work at home positions. So we help you through the application process and the whole onboarding piece, and my entire team is remote. So at Sutherland, we have over 60 global operations centers, 120 clients, and more than 38,000 employees in 19 different countries. But what's really special about us to me is that we have a true promote from within culture that's not limited or impeded by any geographical location. So many of our managers that we have started out as associates on the phone. So we also have what we call a team manager university. So you can take control of your own career to prepare and enable yourself to move into a team manager role more confidently. So our trainers, our team managers, and most of the support positions that we have that work with our consultants also work from home. So truly the possibilities are endless for your career. One of my favorite parts about working from Sutherland is honestly that the commute it's measured in the number of footsteps it takes you to walk to your home office instead of miles. So there's no more budgets for gas or parking or office work clothes or expensive lunches out. So you actually gain more work-life balance because you're able to start your personal time as soon as you hit that button and log off. We typically have positions for customer service, cable support, gaming support, technical support, and various other leadership and other support roles. Some of our positions are full-time, some of them are part-time, and you can truly find the role that's going to fit you best because of that. The pay for all of our positions are based on the individual role. Schedules for the entry-level hourly positions are based on client need. We also offer paid training, health, dental, vision, and paid time off. And also at Sutherland, we actually have a really cool way that we approach and deliver our training. So you would attend training for 4 hours each day with a certified trainer. The live training time is spent going through scenarios, role-playing, applying what you've learned, and putting all the information into practice. And then the other 4 hours each day is spent in self-study. So you're assigned e-learning courses and activities that you can do at any time as long as it's done prior to the next day's class. So this is such a great approach because it's truly flexible. You can take your time to get through the content. You can take breaks throughout. You can ensure that you are focused on what you're learning before you come back to class the next day and review it and apply it in real life scenarios. So again, it's truly a flexible approach to learning because we understand that number one, your time is valuable, and two, everybody learns in a different way and needs to process that information differently. So we understand that and support that here. As I mentioned, we do hire for various positions throughout the year, and those things can change often. At the moment, we're hiring for both part-time and full-time positions for our gaming support area for customer service and technical support. In those roles, you'll take inbound calls and manage cases to assist customers with a variety of questions. The classes for both the full-time and part-time positions, they start in November. Training is 4 weeks long, and then you have 2 weeks of live calls where you are on the phone taking calls in a supportive environment with review and feedback. I know we can talk about equipment if anybody has any questions about equipment later on. I know that the equipment for these two programs are actually provided for you. The home office requirements, we just require that you have a private and secure location in your home where you can set things up. So it would have to have a door. Your monitor can't be visible from any windows within the room and those types of things. So most people have a separate room in their home to use as their office. Other people have like a dedicated space in like one part of like their bedroom that they can, secure and lock the door. But we'll go through the full requirements with you during the application process. The details about the pay, availability, equipment, internet speed requirements, scheduling for all of those different roles. They're actually listed on the website in the application process. And one fun last little fact is that all the images that you see of people in the postings for Sutherland about any of our open positions, they're not stock photos. They're actually all Sutherland employees. So, you know, hopefully
people.
We do. They're all
employees. Really like. And just as a side note, I think recently, I forget if it was the New York Times or a different newspaper, but a fairly major publication did an article about telecommuting, and they used a stock image that was so terrible that a number of people commented, I think it was on Twitter, and they wound up changing it because they thought, oh yeah, this is a really bad image. We don't know why we chose it. The whole joke when you're working from home, you don't necessarily need to wear pants was kind of a thing in the picture in the article. So
yes, we prefer that you wear pants. Just throwing that out there.
Okay, good. One requirement. That's good to know. All right. Well, thank you very much, Carolyn. And last but certainly not least, we have Kelly Cole. Kelly is the talent acquisition manager for UnitedHealth Group. Kelly, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Bree. I think we've got another slide in there if you want to flip to that too. Just like with Sutherland, all of the employees in all of the images for ours are actual employees as well. So the gal that you just saw in the previous screen is an actual employee of ours. But my name is Kelly Cole. I'm a talent acquisition manager here at UnitedHealth Group. I have been with UnitedHealth Group for about 9.5 years now, and I am a telecommuter. I started my career here at UnitedHealth Group as an office-based employee at our headquarters in Minnetonka, Minnesota. And a few years later, I just really had a desire to try something new. I had been born and raised in Minnesota, and I wanted to go on an adventure for myself. And I approached my manager and asked if I'd be able to work somewhere else, and she approved it. So I packed my bags and I moved to Southern California all by myself and worked from our offices in Cypress and Santa Ana, California. And then I returned to Minnesota about a year later. And while I was an office-based employee still, I was able to have just a flexible work arrangement of working from home whenever I wanted, having some flexible hours. And at one point, actually, while I was going through my MBA, I was able to work longer hours Monday through Thursday to have a half day on Friday so that I could have some dedicated time to focus on my homework for my MBA program that UnitedHealth Group was helping to put me through, so that I could still have my personal life, which was greatly appreciated. And now I've been a full-time telecommuter. Every single person except for one on my current team is a telecommuter. So we are completely spread across the country, and we have a ton of telecommuters within our talent acquisition organization, as well as within the entire company. As you can see on the screen here, UnitedHealth Group is headquartered in Minnetonka, Minnesota, which is a suburb of Minneapolis. We were founded in 1974 and are a diversified health and well-being company. A lot of people refer to us as a health insurance company, but we do a lot more than that. While we're headquartered in the United States, we are a leader worldwide in helping people live healthier lives and helping to make the healthcare system work better for everyone. And while we have offices in 50 states and 33 countries, we have a lot of flexible work options for our employees. So you can see up on the screen, telecommuting, part-time, and per diem are 3 of the flexible work arrangements that we do offer some of our employees. Additionally, you will find that in roles, office-based employees have the ability to work from home part-time, and other employees, whether they're in a flex job or not, may have the ability to have a flexible schedule to accommodate other priorities. I've known plenty of people who work at UnitedHealth Group who take off at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because they want to make sure that they can go to their kids' soccer games and do all of that. They start their day a little earlier. My partner has a very different schedule than I do, so I flex my hours sometimes to match with his as well. So there's a lot of flexibility that really fits in with our core values as an organization of making sure that we have compassion for our employees and our members and all of the customers that we work with, that we're really innovative, and that we really strive to have high performance. And we all know that if we're distracted with other things or we feel like work is infringing on our personal lives, that can impact our performance. And so we want to make sure that our employees have the tools and capabilities to allow them to perform both at work and in their life. At the end of January, you may have seen we actually ranked number 10 on Forbes's top 100 companies offering remote jobs list. So it's a very strong push of UnitedHealth Groups to increase our flexible work arrangements across the country and really make sure that where we have an opportunity to employ telecommuters, that we are encouraging the business to do so. As my lovely peers in front of me have mentioned earlier, that telecommuting obviously is very advantageous from a cost perspective for both the employee and the business. Allowing the employee to spend more time with their families instead of commuting to the office is a huge benefit and something we'd love to be able to offer people as often as we can. You'll also see on the screen here just some of the career areas that we hire. UnitedHealth Group is currently recruiting for 1,800 jobs, and approximately 400 of those are telecommute jobs. So when you go to our careers website, you have the ability on the left-hand side to use some filters to determine what you want to see in your career. To you to help narrow down that list so that you find jobs that are of interest to you and your skill set. Obviously, there's going to be lots of time for questions at the end, so I look forward to sharing more information with you, but thank you all so much for joining us today.
Awesome, Kelly, thank you very much. And I always love to hear about filters. Anything that can make it easier for job seekers to find the right jobs, it's all good. So thank you very much. All right, so as Kelly mentioned, we have lots of time for questions and we have lots of questions to get to, so let's dive right in. I'm going to basically ask these questions to each member of the panel unless it's a specific question for one company. So you will, as the audience, you will have a chance to hear the answers from each company that we have here today. So the first one that I saw a number of people ask right off the bat, it must be a signal that they're interested in applying for some of these jobs, is what can I do to make my resume stand out? What are some of the things that you really like to see on a resume? And these are kind of general because obviously you're going to want different things for different jobs. But what are also some of the things you don't like to see on a resume when it's being submitted? So let's
looking for virtual or flexible work and you've worked in that type of arrangement before, putting that on your resume is a good idea. We actually have a program at Dell where we provide tips for people's LinkedIn profiles. And we actually had a session with some veterans that are local to the Austin community this weekend. And that was one of the things that came up in this session. People are still putting on their resume their physical address. I live at 111 West, 51st Street. That we live in a digital connected world these days. It doesn't really matter where you physically live. My advice to people was if you are relocatable, if you work in a virtual or telecommute type arrangement, or you want to work in that type of arrangement, put that where you normally would put your physical address, right? So I think that's kind of a good starting point. I also tell people you want to be unique and you want to stand out. I think what's happened, I've got about 20 years of experience in the recruiting industry. And when I first started, kind of all resumes looked alike and sounded alike, right? Now, there's certain things you don't want to do. So don't use a funky font, right? Because our applicant tracking systems are still modernizing themselves. So if Calibri or kind of a traditional kind of font that's easy to read, but you want to, really make sure that you stand out from the crowd. At Dell, we get over 1 million applications a year globally. So you definitely want to kind of shout out something that's really important so that the recruiter sees it right away. If you want to call out that you've worked in, you've led a virtual remote team, for 10 years, put that on there, especially if that's the kind of role you're looking for. If you have worked selling storage technology, because that's something that we're very desperately looking for now, put that, right? Definitely put that and highlight that. Definitely highlight if you had very clear goals and objectives, what those goals and objectives were and whether you met them. So I always tell people, try to quantify as best you can, right? So let's say you were responsible for P&L of $2 million, put that on there, right? Let's say you're responsible for a project that was $100,000. Quantify that and put that on there. It demonstrates that you know your metrics, you know your value, you know your data points, and that if you met or exceeded those goals, that you're a really driven person and that you track those and you take those goals very seriously. So those would probably be a couple of tips from me.
Awesome, really good tips too, thank you. And John at Kaplan Test Prep, how about you folks? What do you like to see on resumes and what maybe should people leave off?
That's a great question. So on the teacher front, we have a very open mind when it comes to applicants. So for example, with our MCAT programs, our traditional teacher is a pre-med or a resident or a doctor who's earlier in their career who want to give back and get in the classroom for a variety of reasons.
All right, wonderful. And then a number of job seekers were wondering about hiring inside the U.S. versus outside of the U.S. and also location-specific jobs. So I think this probably is geared towards mostly people who are interested in remote work specifically. But the question is essentially, do you hire ever outside of the United States? And also, do you have any location requirements or other things related to location that people should know about for your remote jobs? Since a lot of remote jobs actually do have location requirements, just wanted to get a sense from everybody what those might be for your company. So let's follow the pattern and go back to Jennifer at Dell. How about you folks and location requirements and whether you hire outside of the U.S.?
We hire in over 100 countries around the world. So the short answer is yes, we hire everywhere. The longer answer is when it comes to where you have authorization to work, right? So we have programs within our organization where if you're part of like our marketing rotation program or a leadership rotation program, you join that specific program and you can have international work opportunities. But for the most part, we look for people locally that have authorization to work in that particular country.
All right, perfect, thank you. And John at Kaplan, how about you folks and location requirements and whether or not you hire outside of the U.S.?
Yes, we happily hire outside the U.S. At Test Prep. Specifically, we'll hire in Canada and Puerto Rico for teaching positions. And this was mentioned earlier in another context, but we aggressively promote from within as well. So it's not out of the ordinary for someone to join us as a teacher elsewhere and then join the team in a full-time capacity in another role. So we love doing that. I would also note that Kaplan International hires in a number of different countries. I'm less familiar with their programs, but they hire many different places as well.
All right, awesome, thank you. And then Carolyn at Sutherland, how about you folks and that two-pronged question, location requirements and if you hire outside of the U.S.?
Sure, so Sutherland does hire outside of the U.S. My particular team, we are focused on work at home in the United States, and we particularly focus on 27 different states. And those are actually all listed on the applications as well. So I think that covers both the location requirements and whether or not we hire outside of the U.S.
I think so. Mm-hmm. And then finally, Kelly at UnitedHealth Group. How about you folks and location requirements and hiring outside the U.S.?
Yeah, so we do hire outside the U.S. We actually have offices in 33 different countries. So there are plenty of non-U.S. based opportunities. I am part of the US-based talent acquisition team, so I'm not able to speak extensively on FlexJobs opportunities outside the US, but our careers website has just the intelligent capabilities of being able to determine where you're located when you go to our careers website and pull up the opportunities that are applicable to the location that you're currently coming from. Much like my peers, we do require that you are eligible to work in the United States if you're applying for a US-based opportunity. And then in addition, some of our US-based telecommuting positions do require you to be in a certain location in the US due to, potential regulations with some of the people that we work with. We may require, we have a posting that says this is a telecommute job, but you have to live within 50 miles of the city or within this office. And some of our telecommute jobs do require you to be in the office for training and then go and be a telecommuter post-training. All of those details would be found within the job posting or given to you within the recruiting process.
All right, perfect. Thank you all very much for going through those. And then some more questions we have to do with applicant tracking systems. So I know a number of you have mentioned with specific regard to resumes on what to do on resumes to get through those applicant tracking systems and make sure you have the right keywords in place. But can you just talk a little bit about how, when someone is actually on your site searching for flexible or remote jobs, what they might do to pinpoint those jobs? If they're like, I believe Kelly was talking about filters on UnitedHealth Group's site, or if there's other keywords they should be searching for. What are your main keywords for telecommuting or remote jobs? Just a little bit of navigational advice on how people can navigate your job listing website to find the right positions for them. That would be great. And this probably will be our last question, I'm thinking, with 5 minutes to go. So just a warning there. So Jennifer at Dell, how about you and navigating Dell's application system?
So fun fact, we are actually moving globally to a whole new applicant tracking system this Sunday. So timing is timing is everything. Yes, so we're right in the middle of that. So my advice would be to people interested in Dell to apply after Monday, October 9th. That way you're just not stuck filling out potentially 2 different profiles, which we don't want to waste people's time. We do have a place where all of our jobs are pulled onto the web at jobs.dell.com, and you can sign up for notifications for jobs there in the meantime as well. So if you're just like, hey, I want to sign up for notifications, there will be a new page that's rolling out next week on jobs.dell.com that is a filter of just remote jobs. So just like what one of the other panelists mentioned earlier, we are also following suit and going down that path. At Dell, we typically use the phrase remote. Sometimes I've seen the phrase flexible. We don't really use home. Home office is just, even though I'm in my home office right now, that's just typically not a phrase that we use. So I would say remote if you're looking for Dell jobs, and just come visit us next week when everything is brand new. That would probably be the best in terms of timing.
Awesome. Very good to know. Thank you, Jennifer. Good timing indeed. And John over at Kaplan, how about you and any tips job seekers can use to navigate your applicant tracking system?
Yes, so we just, it's been the season of ATS switches. We just moved over to Workday at the beginning of the year and have had a very good experience. So our application itself is pretty intuitive. The one tip I would offer applicants for our teaching positions, we have a 3-tiered interview process, and the process goes much faster if you apply and include a copy, a screenshot, or some other way of showing your test scores. The sooner that we can verify that your score qualified, the faster our process works. So that would be my tip, is to apply with scores in hand. And I would just note, if anyone on the call has hit the 90th percentile on some of the tests I mentioned earlier, let us know, and we would be happy to get your application started.
Awesome. Thank you, John. And Carolyn at Sutherland, tips for navigating the applicant tracking system there.
Yes, absolutely. So our careers page is jobs.sutherlandglobal.com. And the first thing that I would do is in the top right-hand corner of that page, there's a orange button that says Join Our Talent Network. And you can join our talent network. That way, if there are new jobs that are posted that fit your profile, you'll get notified of them first. So you don't even have to go searching for them. We'll come find you. But once you get on that page, you can actually select the country that you're interested in. So if you're in the United States, you can select the United States, and it'll pull up a list of all the jobs that are in the United States. And the way that you can narrow that down is that, I mean, obviously you can search by, you know, job titles, categories, cities, states, and countries, obviously. But in the city, if you just type in the word home for your city, it'll pull up all of the work at home positions that we have. And my one tip for when you're filling out the application is take your time. Take your time, make sure that you fill out everything on the screen, so that way you don't miss something, you don't miss a key question or a key, you know, a link to an assessment that you need to complete. Just take your time and make sure you fill everything out before you finally submit it.
That's good advice. I feel like people, myself included, get all nervous and rush to make sure the application gets in as quickly as possible, and, you know, taking that extra time to just double check everything, fill everything out completely, reread things to make sure there's no spelling errors, all that sort of stuff can go a long way. But it's hard to do, correct, but it's really good advice.
Correct.
All right, thank you. And then Kelly at UnitedHealth Group, how about navigating UHG's applicant tracking system?
Yeah, so if you go out to our careers website, which is just careers.unitedhealthgroup.com or yourlifesbestwork.com, you can, as I mentioned earlier, filter along the left-hand side to view only telecommute positions. So if you just drop that filter down and say yes, it'll show you all of the telecommute positions. You can also include locations, so that if there are any location-specific ones, those are filtered out if they're not the location for you. But if it's nationally based telecommute, it'll show up there. If it is a location based, it'll show up there unless you do any additional filters. So that's the easiest way for you to find all of our telecommute jobs. The more complex way of finding, you know, maybe a job where it is office based, but it has some flexible work hours, that might be a little harder for you. Our job postings typically aren't going to call out if a manager will allow somebody to work from home periodically or have flexible work hours. That tends to be kind of a case-by-case basis or just a manager preference that they'll let you know when you get hired. So if it's something that's important to you, I really encourage you to be able to bring those questions up during your interview to determine if those are feasible. They'll be able to let you know during that interview process whether or not it's feasible for the role that you're taking interest in. I would also encourage you to read the job postings really carefully. We lay out in our job postings, what our requirements are from a telecommute standpoint, if it is a telecommute posting, and be able to step back and say, can I meet this? Can I have a dedicated office that can lock? Can I keep my computer monitors facing away from a window? Can I tether my laptop to something stationary? All of these different things. If you can't meet those, then looking for alternate positions that you do meet the requirements for instead. And then I would also say to try and get your application in as quickly as possible. Obviously, going back to what Carolyn was saying of don't rush through the application, but get that application in sooner rather than later. We can easily see triple the amount of interest in half the time for a telecommute position. So the competition is really high for our telecommute roles. And if you apply 30 days after that position got posted, it may be harder for you to get through the process because so many other people have expressed interest. So just try and get those applications in as quickly as possible. And then we do also have a keyword feature on our website where you can type in keywords. So typing in telecommute, virtual, part-time, per diem, any of those will be able to help pull any positions that have those words in the job posting.
All right, wonderful. Kelly, thank you very much. And thank you to all of our panelists today. We've got their websites and also their pages on FlexJobs website up on the screen. And I also just wanted to go through some next steps with everybody. But first, a big thank you, and I'm sure a round of virtual applause. Everybody can applaud from your home office or wherever you're viewing from. But thank you all very much. I really appreciate the information that you've shared. And I know the audience does as well. We've got lots of thanks coming in from them. And thank you. This is wonderful, and I think you'll probably see some applications coming in. I will also say for anybody who does decide to apply after this webinar to any jobs with these 4 companies, to also specify that you attended this webinar, because that's a nice way for the companies to know that you have kind of that history, and also that, you know, coming to this webinar was something worthwhile for them as well. So we like to see that. So thank you all very much for your wonderful information and answering these rapid fire questions and trying to get to as many as we can. And just some next steps for everybody on the webinar. Right now, we're just going to launch a very quick survey. It's super short. It'll take you about 10 seconds to fill out, but we would love to hear your feedback on this sort of event so that we can make these better in the future. And then tomorrow, we will email you with that same survey, but also a handout from this presentation and a recording of the whole thing so that you can review it and get some good information or review anything that you may have missed. And then we do have some upcoming webinars. You can find those listed on our blog. It's under blog and then FlexJobs resources and then job search webinars and videos. That's where this video will be housed, but it's also where we advertise our upcoming webinars. Our next one is on October 24th, and it's how to find legitimate professional jobs to make money on the side. So if you're interested in freelancing to make a little extra money, or part-time work, temporary work, holiday and seasonal jobs, any of those sorts of things, that's what we're going to be covering in the next webinar. But again, thank you all for being here. Thanks to everybody who attended to learn this information. And thank you all to the panelists. Again, Dell, Kaplan, Test Prep, Sutherland, and UnitedHealth Group for coming. We really appreciate your time, and we hope everybody has a great rest of the day. Thanks, everyone.